More runs were piled on by Middlesex on the second day of the top-of-the-table LV County Championship clash between the third-place team and leaders Sussex at Lords, but the visitors couldn't follow suit as Middlesex began to take complete control with the ball. The home side had a terrific opening day and resumed on the second morning very well placed on 320 for 3, with Chris Rogers on 161 and Neil Dexter on 62. Both continued to look for runs in the sunshine, with the play becoming a little more frenetic than it was on the first day. And that approach finally led to the downfall of Rogers on a brilliant 184. He took on his Western Australian teammate Steve McGoffin, but could only find Michael Yardy, who judged the running catch well at mid-off. Rogers and Dexter had ensured that their team brought up the 350 in time to earn a fourth batting bonus point. There were going to be no more on offer from here, so it was now a case of getting the biggest total as possible. To that end, Dexter continued to play extremely well as he headed towards his own three-figure score for the first time this season. He'd been joined with the loss of Rogers' wicket by John Simpson, who was also playing a very bright innings. The morning was again turning out to be a good session for Middlesex, who announced right from the off this summer that they are a side to be reckoned with, something that Sussex were finding out firsthand. Before lunch was taken, Dexter, the county's club captain and the man who'll take over the reins in the championship when Rogers joins the Ashes party, cut Chris Nash for 3 backward of point to earn his superb century. He'd had to wait for a long time before he could start his innings, but once there he took advantage of the conditions to get to 3 figures off 190 deliveries. He'd struck 11 fours in that, and in doing so had put his side into a very healthy position in this important match. Alas for him, he couldn't hold out until the break, falling to the last ball of the morning session, as on 104 he half drove and edged to Chris Jordan to give Will Beer his third wicket of the innings. So lunch was taken with Middlesex on 420 for 5, with a message to really push on in the afternoon to speed up the declaration. Simpson and new man Gareth Berg didn't disappoint as they added 46 runs in 7 overs, as their side appeared to have a total of around 500 on their minds. Simpson helped himself to a rather easy half-century, his second of the summer, and one which had occupied 91 deliveries. The total had now moved on to 466 25 minutes after lunch to put Middlesex just about where they wanted to be. Simpson fell in the next over, driving off one knee to offer Ed Joyce a catch in the covers and Luke Wright his first wicket. Ollie Rayner came and went quickly, nicking Chris Liddle behind for a rare first-class wicket for the left-armer. And then Berg's excellent cameo was ended by Wright as the batsman whipped the bowler out to Luke Wells to depart for a rapid 39, which had come off only 25 balls. Toby Rowland-Jones and James Harris then took the total to 499 for 8, and that's when Rogers called them in after 139 overs of batting, leaving Sussex to deal with 51 more on this second day. And immediately it appeared that they might have some problems in that time. Nash close to going to the very first ball of the reply delivered by Tim Murtagh. Murtagh did soon get his man in his third over, Nash on 13 fending a ball to Sam Robson. The pitch of course was still a good one to bat on, and conditions overhead could not have been any better, so both Yardy and Wells would have been confident of punching serious dents into Middlesex's lead. Shots like these would certainly have helped too. But Wells then decided to take on Rowland-Jones, only to top edge his shot into the hands of Berg, a dismissal that left Sussex on 47 for 2. Rowland-Jones was then completely convinced that he had Yardy leg before in his next over, the former Sussex captain surviving what must have been a very close call. But the game began to turn rapidly Middlesex's way in the final session. Joyce's wicket is always a very big one, especially when he's back at Lords, and it was Rayner that got it with an absolute beauty, which dragged the batsman out of his crease with the flight and then turned and bounced to have him stumped for 20. Yardy on 22 was then trapped in front this time, a wicket which left the championship leaders in some trouble on 88 for 4. That became 92 for 5 as Matt Pryor was out in very controversial circumstances. He was eventually given out for being caught by a sprawling Robson off a combination of bat and pad. It appeared that Pryor, with a better view than anyone, thought that the ball had been grounded, and he was not at all happy about the appeal nor the decision, even though the fielder tried to persuade him. But he did have to drag himself off with just 10 runs to his name and his side in an ever-increasing hole. That dismissal just rocked Sussex back even further. Ben Brown then lobbed a simple return catch to the man of the moment, Rayner, who's been working on his action to very good effect. He was loving all this against his former county. Harris then made matters worse for the visitors as he now trapped Jordan in front for a duck, another man who didn't seem overly happy with the decision. Just about everything was going wrong for Sussex. It's sessions like this that makes this tournament what it is, a very good side, top of the heap, suddenly under the cosh. And how? Wright did at least bat through the final 50 minutes with beer, but their side now have it all to do to turn this game around. With Wright on 38, Sussex will go again on the third morning on 147 for 7, and that still leaves them a mammoth 352 runs behind their hosts. That means they still require a further 203 to avoid the follow-on. That will almost certainly be enforced by Rogers. Sussex have work to do to prevent being overhauled by Middlesex at the top of the table and to keep their unbeaten record this season intact.